is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 44. What is that, like our double Jeffel episode? Something like that. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined as always by my good buddy, on record as my best friend. It's Ian Michaud, a.k.a. E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pat E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Eon Stockel. Checklist done. 3 days away from the return of Austin FC to the pitch, and 2 days away from the return of Austin FC 2 at the pitch. Ian, a little bit of up and down weather this week, right? We kind of talk about the weather here in Austin because especially over the last month, that's been the most positive thing we could talk about. We love spinning positives here, so let's start it off. How you feeling on this wonderful Wednesday evening?
It's up and down weather. It's great, crazy weather, man. That's really how I feel. No, I'm good. I'm officially laid off from work at this point, so I'm big chilling now.
Nice. Well, maybe not nice, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
big chilling is good.
Nice. Big chilling is always a positive. So that's kicked in this week. Obviously missing the club as much as humanly possible, but I take solace in knowing that we were doing all the right things to get back on track this weekend, and I'm excited to see Austin FC 2 Friday. I'll be there for sure. Yeah. We will be there. You'll be there.
We'll be there,
depending on the weather.
Yeah, depending on the weather. You know, if the weather's bad, I think maybe that means we're in for a good week. Or a good weekend of Austin FC. I mean, Austin FC has been still busy. The first team's been off, but we recapped the SKC2 match, the away match, got a draw there, and then the academy, both the U17, U15s continuing their run through the GA Cup. So we'll talk about that as well. And no more weather talk, I guess. Like, hopefully we're on the right track throughout the rest of April, where I never have to bring up the weather as like a positive in our lives at this point as Austin FC fans. Let's go ahead and, I guess, first team is back this week. So let's start there. Let's preview LAFC. That's the main attraction this weekend, despite all the other Austin FC happenings, the goings on. Little bit of an interesting schedule on Saturday, at least in my opinion. Like, going out to the West Coast for this match and a 4:30 local start, so 6:30 Central. I really expected this to be one of those, 9:30 Central matches, and to see that it was at 6:30, it was a little bit weird, and it doesn't mean much, obviously, but just thought that was a little interesting. Early match for us, even though we're on the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, I know we touched on it like last episode, but the schedule is not great for viewing multiple games at once. And I'm not a big fan of like red zone style NFL anyway, because like you can't get a feel for the actual game that you're watching. So it's hard. Like, you're just seeing the highlights. Like, you don't know the intricacies of the game, the momentum switch, all the kind of stuff that like plays huge factors in who wins or loses. So when you're doing like the 4-box or whatever it is on Apple TV, it's not my favorite. So finding the right game, which is an Austin FC game, of course, shouldn't be too challenging, but definitely a little annoying. Would have been cool to be. I mean, that's not like their prime time slot, is it? Technically,
I don't think they really have one. There's still deals with the national outlets. They've had games on Fox already this year, which I think like most of those have been duds. I don't think this is one of them, but I guess we could double check here. Let me pull up the schedule, the official schedule for this week. Soccer leagues. It's great audio right now.
I mean, they got it. Would it be?
It doesn't look like there's a Fox game this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I guess to talk a little bit more about that, the schedule, like the league schedule, right? And that Apple TV viewing experience. I disagree with you. I think the quad box is exactly how I would want to take in these matches if we have this stacked schedule, right? Okay. Like, I'm with you on the red zone type of deal because, like, I don't really want to watch a red zone broadcast unless I'm like, I think just paying attention to NFL fantasy teams, right? I want to see my players score points. And I guess that could kind of translate over to MLS, but in soccer, like to your point, like in NFL, you kind of, you don't have any feel for a drive building up or anything like that. And in soccer, even more so, I think it's less advantageous to just watch the goals. At least if you're trying to watch it from any sort of a serious standpoint where you're trying to get a feel for teams and how they're playing and things like that. So I guess just being a little bit repetitive. But I thought it was a breath of fresh air last weekend when they did put the quad box up for a minute, because that's how I would want to try to take in multiple games at once, because you can always go back and watch them after the fact, but watching sports that aren't live is not the best.
Definitely not the best. And I guess, the quad box for soccer does work better than that red zone style, because you can just then jump to one screen that's building up momentum, catch the highlight for it, but still have a feel for all those games. Yeah, it's just a lot to take in, I suppose, but
for sure.
I mean, we'll only have the Austin game on Saturday, so
yeah, there's no doubt about that. It looks like the club just put out another tweet about Julio Cascante. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Obviously, the rumored extension, but just looking like they put out some more still images of him in training this week. So more of the same, more reassurances that he is, on the mend and hopefully back, hopefully within that 8-week timetable. I guess we can talk about that here in a little bit. But last thing I'll say about, I'm kind of glad you diverted us into this more general discussion about Apple TV and that broadcast experience and the schedule. These weekends where all of the games are between 6:30 and 9:30 Central, it's a rush. That's great, but can we at least have one afternoon game on Saturday and then maybe a Sunday nighter, especially while there's no NFL?
Yeah, no, I'm the opportunity to have eyes on this league with those that schedule of games. I mean, instantly my mind went to a flex schedule, kind of like who you have on, those primetime slots. And if everyone's kicking off at the same time, it really does limit how much you can take in. And and I guess making a comparison to NFL Sunday isn't the best barometer for where this league is at right now, because obviously that is an established year in, year out. Sunday, people, it's football, people go to church, whatever. It's the same thing down here in Texas at this point. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, but that would be sweet. And just to have, some better teams kind of match up and really put some excitement out there for people to, hopefully get integrated to the league and everything like that would be great. But we'll have to talk to the commish.
I think just my own selfish, fan standpoint of the league at this point, I want, every time they've had an early afternoon game or a Sunday game, I have watched it this year.
Yeah.
Anytime, whether we're at home and we're headed to Q2 at night or not,
we get back, game's on.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see if, hopefully going forward, obviously the schedule is set this year, but hopefully next year there's some tweaks to not just the viewing experience on 360 and on match day, but to the schedule as well, and more primetime games, standalone games.
I mean, look at the overhaul that they just did with the playoffs and how quickly they fucking pushed that through. So, I think we should have some flexibility with this stuff. But, I mean, it's way above my pay grade at this point.
Well, from a fan perspective, right, I think there's two sides to the coin here, where the consistency of always having these 7:30 home matches, right, or always having our matches on Sunday evening, that's great for a lot of people. But then man, if I worked, and I do sometimes, Saturday nights, then you have if you work consistently on a Saturday night, you can't go to any games.
Facts. Yeah.
So switching it up a little bit in the future, I think, is something that certainly you and I, it seems, would like to see.
I mean, all you have to do is get laid off, and then you won't have that problem.
Yeah. let's jump back into the LAFC preview here. Again, Saturday, 6:30 Central. And the history between these two teams, certainly storied for us at this point. Our first ever competitive match was at LAFC, obviously, the 2-0 loss out there. One thing I did want to do is kind of just look at, I think this is maybe a fun exercise we can do anytime we play against these guys, is look at the 11 from that match and just see how far we've come personnel wise. Let's see if I can get this up here. There's Moochie announcing his presence,
making his introduction.
So our 11 from that first match, Stuver in net, that is the most consistent guy, I think, in our organization.
I wish I looked this up. I looked it up and then seen how many you could have gotten.
Yeah. I mean, I know the one I would have gotten was Rodney Redis. I vividly remember still being excited about Rodney Redis. I mean, that was our first competitive match, and he was awesome in the preseason that year.
Yeah.
Backline, Lima, Romagna, Beasler, Ben Sweat. Ben Sweat, who just actually got cut by Kansas City yesterday. Pochettino, Danny Pereira, Alex Ring, Rodney Redis, Danny Hosen, and Cecilio. So, to be honest, man, that's not a terrible lineup. That's not even anywhere close to the worst lineup we rolled out that year.
Oh, hell no.
So, it's just a little fun to look back on that first match. And
that's cool.
Bench, Jared Stroud, Kakuta Mane. Congratulations to Kakuta signing this week in the Canadian Premier League up there with Pacific. I don't remember what the official team name was, but good luck to him. It's good to see. I mean, from Roots Academy coach a month ago to playing in the Canadian Premier League. So congrats again to him. That's great to see him continuing his career. Gallagher, Berhalter. I mean, how about Gallagher on the bench for that first game?
Yeah, right.
Hector Jimenez. How about this? Diego Fagundes on the bench for that first match.
Gosh.
I think in that I don't know, actually. I was gonna say I think in that first year that was the only game he didn't start. That may be correct, but I know that Cecilio, I think, was the only guy that started every match. Kolmanic, Tarbell, Cascante made up the rest of the bench for that game. So there you go. Just a blast from the past. Even though it was a loss, I mean, that's right up there, the top shelf. Got a piece of the game ball there from that first game. So I don't care that we lost. It was our debut. Where we started.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. The other one sitting right next to it is a game ball from the first home match. So you know me, I love the collectibles. September 15th, 21, 2-1 loss at home. Diego Fagundes equalizes in, I believe, the 67th minute. Ended up being who was the goal scorer? Now, trying to do this off the top of my head is not great podcasting. Ended up losing 2-1 there. So lost both the first season and last year. Obviously, we were very familiar. 2-1 win May 18th at LAFC. Ruben Gabrielson opens the scoring. Then Diego Fagundes shuts the door off the Driussi Rabona assist. I guess it maybe didn't slam the door, left it open a little bit because Stuver gets the PK and a yellow. Vela converts. That 9 minutes after that, trying to close out that game was the most nervous I've been for a regular season Austin FC match. And we were at home, we're not in the stadium. I was at home. I think Jose and Guillermo with me, and my heart is pounding through my chest as I think we got 3 yellows in the last 10 minutes. Kip Keller picked up a yellow in the 97th minute. They were checking that for a penalty.
Oh my God.
And then I remember, and I think that was the first time I remember people like Andrew Wiebe coming into the We Are Austin Twitter spaces afterwards. Cause that was the match where it was okay, Austin is for real. Yeah. Right. And then August 26th, the party right at home, 4-1 win, Maxi with the brace, Fagundes with the free kick goal. Driussi with the nasty turn on Murillo, buries him with that 4th goal. And then we got to meet Johnny G afterwards. And then he who must not be named was also on the field with us. And then obviously October 30th, Western Conference Final, the 3-0 loss out there in LA. So returning to the place where our season ended last year, we know, shout out Cap City Soccer for their reporting last week. These guys are treating this like a revenge game. There is some extra motivation here. because all those guys who were on the team remember how they felt when that game did not go their way in a big way.
Yeah.
So, again, we're trying to spend some positives here. I think there's certainly some extra juice in that locker room. LAFC so far this season, as you noted to me before we hit record, one of the 3 undefeated teams left in MLS. Home wins over Portland, New England, and Dallas. Road draws with Seattle and Colorado last weekend. They're actually on the road tonight. First leg of their CCL quarterfinal matchup against the Vancouver Whitecaps. That is north of the border in Vancouver. Okay. So given the time, it's a little after 7:30 here Wednesday night. That match kicks off at 9 Central, I believe. So we may be able to check in at the end of the podcast and see who they're rolling out, because, I mean, if they roll their starters tonight, and I think they will, they're going after CCL for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If they roll their starters out and Vancouver has a good night, and then LAFC is looking at maybe a deficit coming into next Tuesday, I'm not saying it's likely, but if that was to come to pass, I think we might get a heavily rotated LAFC, which, I guess they're nearly too deep at every position. So that might not mean much, but certainly keeping our eyes on that match tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take whatever we can get in that situation. And I saw that there was an interesting debate kind of going on in the social spaces about is this a rivalry or not?
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting question. But look, they're what we want to be. They're
For
at
sure.
the top of the table. They are consistently up there. They just came off their supporter shield. They just came off a championship. Now they're making some noise in CCL. So as far as the rivalry goes, we definitely look at them a little differently, I think, and I don't know if they look at us that way.
I'm interesting that you say that, because that the tweets from our account mostly coming from my fingers. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I responded to the We Are Austin TV question. And Hernan, of course, killing it on the LAFC podcast that he went on. Watched that appearance today. Those guys that I apologize for not remembering the name of that podcast, but that was I actually went back and watched the first half of their podcast. They were pretty good. And that kind of plays into me. Like you mentioned that LAFC, the players, the depth, the money that's flowing through that organization is what I think at least you and I aspire our club to be, like you said. And I think for me, that also bleeds into their fans. I want our fans, I do, it's not a knock on our fans. We are certainly top tier in the league. But I think LAFC's fans are the number one fan base right now. Just from my observations, and that's just an opinion, but you certainly can't say that they aren't in that same tier with us at the very least.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's what kind of makes this game even a little more special is that you're going to get a large contingent of either group at the away match.
Yeah.
Really amped up for it. Kind of like those interstate rivalries or, one across the border, kind of, your Seattle, Portland, or whatever it may be.
For sure.
So yeah, it's going to be a tough test for sure. They're deep. I definitely hope that they're in a bit of a drag out kind of match today. Gets physical. I'd like to see some cards, whatever Vancouver can do to muck this up and try to make it a bit of a, not as open of a game that they're dealing with so much talent and space that this LAFC team has. And yeah, we'll take a tired or freshly rotated LAFC to bolster our chances anytime, because this is a monumental task for this squad coming up. This is, we've dealt with all kinds of difficulties throughout this season, but this is like the first one that's planned. It's on the schedule. You knew this was going to happen. We didn't know Julio was going to get injured. We didn't know Kip was going to have the pass. We didn't know Tarek was going to do the Tarek. But this has been on the schedule. There's obviously a little more oomph in our guys right now to do this, and I wouldn't be surprised if a couple dudes had this circled on their calendar. I know Cascante is going to be missing this shit.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah,
he won't. Definitely feel for him. But yeah, it's gonna be quite a tall task.
Yeah. Well, on the Austin side of things, obviously well rested. We saw guys like, we talked about Valencia being in Vegas. I saw that he then went to the Grand Canyon after that. So Valencia just all over the Western United States having a blast.
There you go.
You just got to hope that strong week of training last week, little R&R over the weekend, back at it this week, and just have more energy than this team, this LAFC team that hasn't had a break since week 1 when their game was postponed with the Galaxy. And maybe I don't think LAFC is ever going to overlook a team like Austin, but maybe we just get, like you said, that little bit of an extra boost given their hopefully a little bit, tired legs. Once we get to like the playoffs, I want to get a team's best shot, but especially when we're down and we need a result, I will take what we can get here. So on the Austin side of things, yeah, for sure.
We were tired. We had to rotate. We had to sub guys. Like it already happened to us. So
yeah. Well, and we're shorthanded still. Still don't have Julio. But how about the rest of the lineup here? Because obviously where we left off 10 days ago, you and I, who have been fairly staunch in our defense of Emiliano Rigoni, Jossie Zardes, we were not happy with those guys after the Colorado match. What do you think? I guess, again, like I ask you this every game preview. What are your desires to see out of this lineup, and what do you think we'll see from Josh Wolf after this bye week?
I mean, you prefaced it there with how supportive you and I have been of G and Rigoni. But after their performance last week, I would not be surprised nor disappointed if they found their way out of the starting lineup.
Both of them?
Yeah, for sure. Like we've said, they're doing all the right things on the pitch. They just haven't been able to score. And unfortunately, we need them to score really badly, and particularly at the 9. And they haven't done that. So I am for getting somebody else rotated in there, maybe trying to find a spark. Maybe Maxi's got a fucking giant chip on his shoulder. He wants to shut people up about.
Wait, maybe?
Yeah. I won't say massive, as big as possible. And maybe that gives us a little more fire. Anything that we can get to kind of get a spark, because again, the thing that bothered me the most about our last match was that it was just completely uninspired play after the first 8 minutes. And we when we're not scoring goals, we gotta find a way to generate some offense here. And if that's Maxi getting the start, then I'm all for it. And because G has performed at an adequate level, especially above the insanity bar that fans have set.
The insanity bar.
He still hasn't scored. That's a fact. Yeah. So I could see Maxi in there. And look, man, Rigoni, again, same situation. He's got 1 assist on the season. And we haven't seen him put the ball in the back of the net. And we're going up against a juggernaut team here. So I would not be surprised to see those 2 guys rotated out, maybe Finley and Maxi, like I said. I'd be much more surprised if Finley was in over Rigoni versus the Maxi and Giassi debate.
Okay.
But I think that it's their job to close the door for the guy behind you. It's like, you're not going to take my job. But they have left that open, and there's opportunity for these other guys, and that's what kind of has been fueling our debate a lot too, is that there's this competition in practice every day, and coach sees it. And though Finley wants to start, he wants that job. Same situation with Maxi. He clearly wants to start, but coach is still seeing these guys every fucking day and not allowing them, but just saying not starting them because he has more insight than any of us. But at this point in time, they just haven't done the things that we need them to do, where I can say they have to be on the field when we go with our first 11. So with that being said, I'll say Maxi, yes. I still think Rigoni gets the start. Fagundes, Seba, back with Danny, obviously Owen. Leo, Alex again, Johnny, and probably Jin Jin Kaminic.
Jin Kaminic. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously with you on, maybe not obviously, but I'm with you on like any of our main rotation guys up front. Whatever the alignment, I'm fine with.
Okay.
If I got to pick it, and again, as the guy on the couch,
resident
give me what?
The resident idiot.
Yeah, that's probably a more apt description. I would put Zardes up top. I would start Rigoni. I would, as long as he's had a good 2 weeks of practice, Diego's back in for me.
Yep.
Drew, and so like I would keep rolling with that. Again, like what we see on the pitch on Saturday is going to be who performed the best in practice these last 2 weeks. But I hope that they work some things out. That Jossie and Rigoni can try to come into this game with a clear head, and these guys really band together and get something going, at least get one on the board, with that group of Zardes, Rigoni, Fagu, and Driussi up top, because I just think they all need it together. They need to see, because like if those guys can't go back to that group the rest of the season, then we're screwed. Right. Yeah. If we're just pigeonholed into having something else, we have to start Maxey and we have to start Finley because it's just not working with those other guys. Again, if Finley's in there, if Maxey's in there, I would rather see Maxey than Finley. Yep. If I have to make one change there. But if we do go with that same, the starters from the beginning, Zardes, Fagu, Rigoni, I would really like to see Urruti come in early, because man, whether we are up, still tied, or down, Maxey brings that juice, and we know that, right? So like I don't think we need 60 plus of Zardes. And on the other hand, I don't think we need 60, 70 plus of Maxey if he gets the start either. We talked about that at the beginning of the season. We haven't seen that split hardly at all so far this year. And I would like to get back. I would like them to fall in a groove where those guys, no matter which striker starts up top, that they both get time in the majority of games, because we know the qualities that both of those guys have.
Yeah, Coach he doesn't like doing that.
Yeah,
just not.
At least so far.
He's been consistent with it. He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change my stance. I want Maxey to start. I'm going on record. I want Maxey. He was there last year. He remembers.
Yeah.
I think that will play a role in this game, especially if that's something that we're banking on, is that we're a little more amped up and we want it more than them. I think that he should get the start in this game. And I don't think it's crazy to say that.
No, not at all. Not at all. And again, like he gets the start, I'm fine. I'm amped. Like, let's go, Mac. I got my bow and arrow ready. Glad you mentioned Owen in that defensive pairing with Danny. Like, it's going to be so great, at least in my mind, to have him back there and have that dual threat, right? Where he's been fine defensively and been much more of a threat offensively than certainly Valencia, and obviously just limited time with Jeffel, who's been just fine. But Owen, to me, Owen's the total package out of those three guys. Like, he brings the attributes I think that both of the backups have. To a lesser degree. I
also feel like he unlocks Danny a bit.
Sure. They're very interchangeable on both sides of the ball, right? Or at least it seemed that way through the first 5 matches.
I'm getting way more excited about this game now. Leo's back. Owen's back. We're coming for sure. We can't really judge this team too much after this last game, because obviously Leo's our best defender.
Yeah.
Owen has proven himself to be one of our best midfield players and one of our most dynamic players. Yeah. So now we can really get this is a good test for this team. So, win, lose, or draw, we got to come out. We got to play our game. We got to play with a little fire, a little passion. And that's when we can really I think this is a good, point of inflection where we can just really take a look at this team in totality and be like, all right, well, Julio, when he gets back, what is this going to look like? But yeah, Eastradamus is Might be picking a blowout victory here.
Oh, getting those juices flowing. Last thing I'd mention, I mean, I think Johnny has to be on the right to deal with Bouanga.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, I feel like sometimes I'm a little bit higher on Nick Lima than the consensus in the fan base. I just think he's so solid, but the speed that Bouanga brings on that left side of their offense, like I just think we need Johnny's wheels over there for this one. Okay. So I think I'm with you on Johnny and would you call him Jin Kimmich?
Do you think that Bouanga presents more pace than Bale did?
Oh yeah. Okay. I think so. Okay. I think so. At least than what we saw in the match against us when we were in person. Mm-hmm. I don't think he had it all the way turned up that night. Like,
oh yeah,
I think we were pretty clear on that. But I'm way more nervous about Denny Bouanga than Gareth Bale. At least not like MLS Cup final Gareth Bale. Yeah, you got me there. Yeah. But regular season Bale, we saw it, right? He could turn it on just like that, but he didn't a ton. Didn't really play a ton either, right? But played when it counted. Mm-hmm. Played when it counted. All right, here we go, Easterdamus. I think fresh off, just you hit the FC2 match, the first one, and then barely missed on the second. Mm-hmm. How we feeling about LAFC on Saturday?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. First time this season, I have been with you in picking all wins so far. And I'm still going to keep a little bit of my optimism here. I'm going 1-1 draw. Going 1-1 draw. We get a point. We're feeling okay. We're coming back home against a Vancouver team who will be coming off 2 CCL matches of their own against LAFC. So I think that gets the month started. And I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to this month. Like, it's a tough schedule on paper, but I really think if you get a result here on Saturday, that could really kickstart things for the rest of the spring.
I definitely agree. This is a good challenge for this team, like I said. Okay, I think that's fair. I think I'll say we go up there and get another 2-1 victory.
There you go. I love it. I mean, I knew today wasn't going to be the day that you picked a loss. Not a blowout win, but a win nonetheless.
Correct.
If we come back with 3 points, man, like,
woo!
I think the mood next week is we're back. I don't care who's playing for LAFC. If you get 3 points out there, it would be just the third time since the beginning of the 2022 season that LAFC had lost at home. And one of the other two being Austin. I think Nashville was the other team to beat them last year. I don't see how, at least me, ever the optimist, at least I feel like so far this season. I don't see how I can't be pushing that narrative next week if we get 3 points, but
yeah, we'll party.
We'll see. So looking forward to that 6:30 p.m. Central, on Apple TV, I guess. Did you see the kind of unnamed source tweet from MLS Gone Wild this week talking about how Apple's worried about their sales for the season pass?
No.
Yeah, so apparently it's like 40% of what their projections were right now. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll keep our eye on that. We'll see how that plays out. I saw somebody speculating, and I think I agree, that if their numbers are really down as we get through this season, that the first thing to go is the free pass for season ticket holders.
Thanks.
It makes sense.
Jobs.
Yeah, Tim Apple.
Is his name Apple?
What's that?
His last name is actually Apple?
No. It's an Orange Man joke. Anyways. You don't remember that? He called him Tim Apple after meeting him? Tim Cook?
No.
We'll move on. It's not the podcast for that discussion. Let's talk about the academy real quick. We gave the update on Sunday's episode that the teams U17s, U15s had gotten off to an extremely strong start out there in Florida at the GA Cup. U17s took a little bit of a step back to close out their group stage. Actually, after they beat Pumas 2-1 on Saturday, that game was broadcast, then drew Atlanta United 0-0, lost 5-4 in Pens, And then NYCFC on Monday, 2-2 draw, lost 5-4 on pens once again. Yeah. So pushed down to the showcase games, which are, kind of like the, at your AAU tournaments, right? You don't make that championship bracket. You still get your guaranteed games in. It's actually exactly like this. This is just the guaranteed game. So U17s today did beat IMG Academy 2-1. They will take on Nashville at 3:30 p.m. Central tomorrow, Thursday the 6th. And then Saturday, 3:30 Central, taking on the Whitecaps U17s. So I'm not sure if there's going to be a Friday match added to that or not, because what I saw when reading through the tournament structure, that there's seven guaranteed matches. So there may be a fourth showcase game added in there, but, just playing out the string at this point. U15s, however, we mentioned that they had started with the shootout win over the Revolution, beat Club America 2-0, and then 0-0 draw with the Columbus Crew U15s, win 4-2 on penalties to win their group. They go into the playoffs, and this morning at 9 a.m. Central took on the Earthquakes U15s, dispatch of the Earthquakes 2-0, and now we'll take on New York Red Bulls U15s at 9 a.m. tomorrow. That one will be broadcast on MLS Season Pass, so I'm going to be up watching the U15s at 9 a.m.
Let's do it.
And actually have a little bit of a scouting report here. So probably the majority of people that are listening to this as we record Wednesday night will not be listening to us before this game at 9 a.m. Thursday. But tomorrow is tough. We play the U15 Red Bulls. It is the Red Bulls Academy's best age group. This is according to an inside source. Their goal differential in like 4 games is plus 14. They beat the crap out of Chelsea. And, so I think that, through the academy ranks, they play the same style as Red Bull, high octane, pressing the ball. So look for the U15s tomorrow morning to give Red Bull the ball a little bit more, make them play with the ball instead of trying to pressure us and getting those easy opportunities, and look for the Austin U15s to sit back a little bit more. They've got a national team player at forward. So I think the U15s, just worried a little bit about that, the threat that Red Bulls pose at that age level. And I think they also this U15 age group for them. Apparently they lost a kid who was even better than this national team player. This kid's now at Dortmund with their U15. So yeah, they've got some players. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching this. U15s have been pressing everybody all tournament, but according to the source, very, very tired. Red Bulls is a transition team. So source said, let's see how well they can break down a team when they're on the ball. So I'm excited for this U15 matches, It's
good to see the U15 boys adopting the Austin FC tradition of passing the ball to the other team. It's good to see that we're working it through every level of soccer that we have here in Austin.
Gotta get it through to them early, So obviously not just gonna pass it to the other team, but some tactical adjustments after what's a hell of a week when they've already played 4 matches since Saturday.
You were ripping off that schedule, and I was like, Jesus, they're fucking killing these kids.
Yeah, these are 60-minute matches, but still.
Still. Where is it again?
Florida.
Yeah, fuck that.
Hot, humid, yeah. So looking forward to that. And, I think that if they continue to win, this tomorrow, I believe, is the quarterfinal. Sorry, you'd think I could be a little bit. Yeah, this is the quarterfinal. So a win tomorrow puts you into the Final Four. They're 3 wins away from being GA Cup champions, which would be a pretty big accomplishment, I think, for our U15. So awesome. Cheering them on. I'm hoping I'm waking up for 9 a.m. matches Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
3 days in a row?
I believe that's how they're going to close out the tournament, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it would be 4 days in a row, right? They had the day off between group play and the knockout stages. And now back at it.
Brutal. It is an AAU tournament.
Let's talk Austin FC 2 Friday, 7 p.m. at Palmer Field, at the pitch, at St. David's Performance Center. Many names for our great complex up there. It'll be E's first time watching Austin FC 2 in person. Obviously not your first time to the Performance Center. You're well acquainted with Verde Hill at this point. But Tacoma Defiance, I like to look at these, kind of try to find some cool information about our next pro opponent. So Tacoma Defiance, formerly Seattle Sounders FC2, they are actually operated. The business operations are controlled by the baseball club of Tacoma, who is the owner operator of the Tacoma Rainiers.
Okay.
And then the soccer operations are obviously managed by the Sounders, and 20% of the club is fan owned through the nonprofit Sounders Community Trust. So that's kind of cool. Like, can you imagine how many people would jump on that here if we had something like that?
That's dope.
Yeah. Formerly coached by Ezra Hendrickson, who's the current coach of Chicago Fire and former MLSer, and now coached by Wade Weber, who's a Seattle native, University of Portland alum, was a first rounder, actually second overall in the 1997 draft, played 22 games for Dallas, was then the Dallas Burn, and then was unprotected and and then was selected by the Miami Fusion in the 98 expansion draft. Career-ending knee injury in 1999, so unfortunate end to his promising young career, but I think taught high school and coached high school for a long time, and now has been with the Sounders, or Tacoma rather, for 3 seasons. This is his first season, I believe, as head coach. Last season, Tacoma second in the Western Conference with a 14-6-1-3 record. Again, those next pro, 14 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw, and 3 shootout wins. They lost in the Western Conference Finals. Marlon Vargas led the team last year with 12 goals. He is now with Rapids 2. And if you look at their current roster, they actually have 8 Sounders players on loan. So, when we send our guys down to FC2, they have to be on loan. So 8 guys, including 2 goalkeepers, looks like 4 midfielders, a defender, and a forward. So they could be bringing a pretty damn talented team down to the pitch on Friday night.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like they got some dogs.
Yeah. So, and we know last business day, that means Thursday night we will get any transactions. So if there's any sort of, guys called back up to the first team, anybody else loaned down, or any more amateur player agreements signed, we will hear about that tomorrow, Thursday. And then, of course, we know that revenge games for 2 of our boys, Alfonso Ocampo Chavez, who scored the equalizer on Sunday. He was with Tacoma Defiance. We plucked him from the Seattle organization in the offseason. And then Joe Hafferty was with them last year, who's now the captain of Austin FC2. And then the club also putting out some nice looking stats here. The center back pairing of Keller and Sal Mazzaferro rank first and second, respectively, in accurate passes, 139 and 132 in Next Pro. And then Joe Hafferty ranks tied for first in tackles won in Next Pro. Damian Loss tied for 4th in the league in saves with 7 through 2 matches. Tacoma Defiance coming off a dominating 5-0 win in their home opener against Real Monarchs. So again, not sure about the quality of Real Monarchs there in RSL, but Tacoma, 5-0 win to open the season. 4 goals within the first 60 minutes of the match. One of those loans down from their first team, Abdoulaye Sissoko, netted a brace in the first hour there, and Paul Rothrock finished that match with 3 assists. So this coming from the match preview from the media team. Appreciate them putting out this information, helping us out, getting a little context for what we're going to watch on Friday. Again, we talked about this on Sunday. The match is coming fast and furious for Verdos, Efecito, whatever you want to call them. 3 home matches in the next 10 days starting on Friday. And then June 25th, Austin FC2 makes that trip up to the Pacific Northwest to take on Tacoma in the second meeting of these 2. So looking forward to that. And I guess I'll ask you again, any lineup desires here in your first trip to see the team live? Who do you want to see on the pitch? And then give me the Eastradamus score prediction.
Okay, I can do both of those things. Look, I've liked our starting lineup with this club. Obviously, I want to see Ocampo Chavez. I want to see Valentin Noel if he's not concussed. Jackson Valti for sure. Rodriguez.
That's Rodriguez is in a cast. I think he's out.
Oh,
yeah, that was I think it was Fodre who posted a picture of him in the airport with a cast, and it was like not a sling, not a sprint. It looked like a cast. So apparently, I think We Are Austin TV got from a source that it's not long term, but I think it's going to be long term enough that he's probably out, maybe through this entire home stretch here.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something's broken.
Yeah,
something. Obviously, Las in the net. Kip paired with Mazzaferros seems like a very accurate passing group.
Yeah.
Hafferty, who we didn't have a lot of intel on him coming into the season, but he's definitely been. You can tell he's the leader there. He's got a pretty strong voice. It looks like the kids respect him a lot, so that's a plus. So if no Rodriguez, then maybe we see Fodre, CJ in the first 11.
Yeah, I mean, he played 30 minutes the other day at SKC. I think he's on a minutes restriction coming back from that quad injury. I just think that's why, like, what other explanation is there that he's not starting, right?
That makes sense. I mean, Ocampo Chavez has been insane.
Yeah.
But that makes sense that they're kind of easing him back into it.
Yeah. I would love to see him start too, though, of course.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed watching him the other day. I think Louis Jean off the bench is a solid option. He's really impressed me. He definitely brings a bit of a spark. So you'll probably see EJ instead of Rodriguez.
Yeah,
is probably what you'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I agree there. Could be Cristo Vela, although I think it looked like they left him in Austin over the weekend. So obviously somebody else going to be in there for David Rodriguez. So I think regardless, again, I'm just excited to get out there and see those guys go to work again, because it was a great first experience, and it looks like we're getting an even bigger test, tougher test here. So, it's going to be a big test for the first team on Saturday, but I think kind of same scenario here for FC2.
Mm-hmm. I think this team can score too. So I'm going to go ahead and put us at a 3-2 victory.
Okay. Up and down, 3-2. I love it. I mean,
that last game we had was very open and free, and we had chances, and we just really didn't finish it. We had plenty of shots in that second half that really we could have capitalized on. So I'm going to go ahead and say that we kind of regress to the mean there and get some goals that go in for us. 3-2.
All right. I'm going to hate a little bit here. Maybe not the best phrase for it, but I just think this team, like on paper, again, never watched any film on the Tacoma Defiance, but if you can just get Rid of guys like Ocampo Chavez and Hafferty, and you've got 8 first-team guys, I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna go 3-2 Tacoma here, and prove me wrong, boys. I'm going out there to see you win. I'm gonna be cheering you guys on through the whole way, but tough matchup here. Tough matchup. This is where I think you set the bar for the team. If you can get 3 points here, I think then you're on track to be competing for that Western Conference title.
Absolutely. So ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Absolutely. So excited to see the guys play. Excited to see everybody out there. Hopefully we pack the house again on Friday, 7 p.m. Central.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple pieces of Austin FC, maybe not news, but just, items to discuss here. Midweek hype video. I really enjoyed the different style of this. It was like 7+ minutes of practice footage with no captions, no narration, not just practice footage and weight room and all that stuff. But I thought that was kind of a cool change of pace for the bye week,
all business.
Then the clips, I guess I'll say this first. I really appreciated the clip of Josh coaching up Diego and Maxi together. Those guys, look, they're obviously not best friends right now, but the fact that they are clearly still working together in practice, it's not like we have like this is not the most toxic situation in that locker room. As toxic as it may be for the fan base right now, I think it is clearly at least a good working relationship at this point. Those guys are all still pulling together, it seems.
Yeah, that was a great little clip to see. And I mean, people are also just like really glossing over and forgetting how good Coach Wolf was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
people saying, "Oh, it's just Driussi carried him." It's like, okay, maybe a couple games, but
no, I'm saying as a player.
Oh yeah,
like as a player, like apparently, I mean, I don't know if people don't know about this, but he's top 20 goals all time, top 10.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, he's up there.
He's got national caps. Like he was a good fucking soccer player, and he has knowledge to pass on to these guys who are also really good fucking soccer players.
Yeah.
But like coach isn't just some dude who started coaching soccer. Like
you mean he didn't go coach 4-year-olds and learn not to talk to them while they're playing?
Only person perfect is God, Ernie.
81 career goals in MLS for Josh Wolf. That is 28th all time. Still above guys like Bunbury, Carlos Vela, Raul Ruiz-Diaz, and Maxi Urruti and Diego Fagundes.
Yes.
So there you go. But yeah, it was good to see, the media team knows what they're doing. Know what they're doing, putting that clip in there, and got us to talk about it and notice it. So well done.
I mean, we've always worked under the assumption that they're all actually just professionals. Practice, we're not taking two things too inflammatory, but
it's the extracurriculars. It's the sub to, or not. It's not a tweet, but the sub posts, stories, whatever you want to call it. The on-field public displays of showing each other up. Josh, Diego, Maxi. Dude, if that's just in our past, oh my God, is the rest of the season going to be so much better? Absolutely.
Big week. Come on. Yeah. Let's write this shit.
Multiple Julio Cascante clips in that video as well. Left adductor injury, and they put in one cut of him where he's sprinting around a cone or like a flag stick there, and hard cut on his left side. I'm really starting to think that when he gets reevaluated at that 8-week period, which is 3 weeks away, we're 3 weeks away from that yesterday. Yesterday was 5 weeks from the team releasing the timetable.
Okay.
So I really think 3 weeks from now, he could be fully cleared, and not fully cleared in the sense that he's going to come in and start and play 90, but fully cleared where he can be available off the bench 3 weeks from now. And that would be best case scenario.
Yeah. Huge for us.
Yeah. So, and at the very least, he's doing soccer movements, and it could certainly be worse after the rhetoric, right? The reevaluation after 8 weeks. Like we read that as like, okay, it's going to be longer. And so hopefully not. McCalla Station, right there with the Cap Metro train that comes by the stadium, currently drops people off at the Kramer Station. The McCalla Station right outside Q2. On pace for the beginning of the 2024 season. So I think that's already been delayed at least once. So it's not like it's great news, but if it does open by the beginning of next year, then good. That's an upgrade to our situation.
Man, that would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not for people who are like going home from work, but
well, if we only have 7:30 games. And then not a great piece of news here. Shout out Moon Tower for being on top of this. Paul Tenorio from The Athletic put out an article and then a companion video on his Twitter reporting that several MLS teams have been punished for illegal recruiting at the academy level. Apparently the rules around the academy, man, are like really stupid. Where kids are, if you live in a certain area, you like teams get the rights to you, and then what if you don't? Again, I don't know these backwards and forwards, but if you live in Austin and Austin FC's academy isn't interested in you, you can't just go play for Dallas or somebody. If they anyways, apparently some of these teams who have been fined having to pay over 6 figures in GAM in fines. And he says Austin FC is one of the 2 biggest offenders. So that may be why we traded an international spot last week for Gam.
Yeah.
It certainly lines up.
Gotta cook those books.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the nonsense here. Best Ball League update. We talked about it last week. We were on our high horse winning our first week and, thought we might drop back down. And yes, that did come to pass. Not only did we get last again on the week, 6 DNPs, or I should say 5 DNPs, and a bye for Rigoni for us. So no Insigne, no Cucho still, no Evander. Ryan Gauld did not play. I don't know if he's hurt. I'm hoping he was just resting for the CCL this week because, if he's hurt for any extended period of time, oh boy. And then Kai Wagner also hurt. So, Philadelphia finally gets a clean sheet. You look at Moontower, who wins the week, 55 points, bouncing back in a big way from their season low dud in week 5. They've got a Philly stack there on defense with Glesnes and Elliott. 12 for Glesnes, 10 for Elliott, and then Kai Wagner for us. DNP, of course. They also got 12 from Mukhtar, 11 from Carlos Heel, who's back in the starting lineup, and another 10, another shutout there from Joe Willis in Nashville. We Are Austin TV was on their heels with 48 points. They are now in second overall in the standings, just 1 point behind Moontower. They got 16 from Lucas Zelarayan and then 11 from Walker Zimmerman. Zimmerman continues to be certainly their second most important player so far this season behind Thiago Almada, who came back with a little bit of a whimper, just 4 points for Almada. Texas Ring of Fire still just consistent. 14 from Espinoza, 10 from Andre Blake, who's back for them. That's huge. I hope you are too. I'm looking forward to this week. We've got Taxi Fountas back. I think Evander's working his way back. We need a big week, man. We got to at least stay in contact here.
Yeah, we got to stay within striking distance for sure, and hopefully get healthy. I mean, obviously, if we're hit with this type of injury bug again, really not much we can do.
Yeah.
But fuck those guys.
Yeah. Well, the week 6 betting picks it wasn't an offer. Still lost 1.13 units on the week. We lost LAFC plus 110 at Colorado. They drew there. We had Philly and over 1.5 against SKC minus 110. They drew SKC at home. And then Cincy over 1.5, Cincy to win and over 1.5 total plus 105. They win 1-0. Couldn't find that second goal to get us the cash there. We did get Atlanta at even odds and Columbus minus 115. Both of those did hit. So minus 1.13 units on the week. Now minus 13.25 units on the season. If I keep saying we're turning this thing around on Wednesday's episode at one point this season, I will be right. Let's hope it's tonight. I know you and I dug in a little bit deeper this week. Again, some of these weeks have been kind of surface level for us. We're really trying to put in a little bit of work now. So what else are you going to do when you get laid off, I guess? So I'll kick it to you. What's your first pick for the week? Week 7.
My first pick of the week feels like a trap.
Okay.
Just looking at it, it feels like a trap. But I'm going to hope that I can juke the trap.
Okay. Get around it.
Get some units for the boys. It's just a weird line to me here. Minnesota plus 295 going to Chicago. Chicago not very good. Minnesota obviously overachieving. Not
undefeated still, yeah.
Yep. Not a long travel for Minnesota United to get to Chicago. Not like a lengthy, you don't got to change time zones here. So I'm looking at that game and there's just too many sweet units available. I go ahead and take Minnesota United here. So I'm going to go ahead and take Minnesota United plus 295 on the road at the Chicago Fire. It was kind of the same. Last week I was looking at St. Louis, and obviously we knew at some point they were going to get knocked off the unbeaten list.
Didn't think it was going to be Minnesota, though.
But I told you the week before, I was like, man, I want to take Minnesota here because
you did.
One of these games they're gonna flounder and like just you got to hit it the first time and then you're good to go. So another reason why I think this might be a little bit of a trap game here, but I'm gonna go ahead and take it, put my faith in that Minnesota United club, and hopefully get us some units.
I mean, nearly 3-1. I don't hate that at all. I'm gonna go back to Cincy here. And again, feels like a little bit like a trap as well because they're hosting Philadelphia. But Philly, like clearly not firing on all cylinders, and they're in the middle of a CCL week. They did get the win last night after getting a red card. Who did they play again in that semifinal? It was. Oh, they're playing Atlas. That's right. Atlas gets a red card right before the half. Philly ends up getting, I believe, a PK to win 1-0 there. So, Cincy just, obviously Cincy is the other undefeated team out of the LAFC, Minnesota, and Cincy. And you're getting them at plus money here at home because of the strength of Philly. Like, I get it. But I think Cincy at home here continues to roll. And so I'm taking Cincy to win straight up plus 125 at home. But again, like betting against Philly, it doesn't feel good. But I bet with Philly the last 3 weeks and they keep fucking with me. So come on, Cincy.
Yeah, I was going to say that we've been going to that well and it's been very dry.
Yeah. And then, of course, this is, I'm sure, the week that they come in, just put a whooping on Cincinnati or something.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got next?
All right. I am going to a winless squad. The LA Galaxy on the road versus the Dynamo. Now,
love it.
Let's take a look here, right? Let's just take a look.
Okay. Let's look at it.
Houston has 5 goals.
Correct.
Doesn't Bassey have 4 fucking PKs?
He's got 3, but point taken.
So 60% of their goals are from Amin Bassey on PKs.
Correct.
Okay.
One is the Hector Herrera cutting in front of Rigoni.
Correct. So the Dynamo aren't good. They beat us after we had gone through hell, and we played a lackluster game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Galaxy are not performing to their normal standard as a club. They're in a bit of a, obviously a bit of a tough situation with their fans, their supporters groups. But this is a proud franchise, and they need to get on the board. And playing in Houston is not like going to any sort of fucking intimidating place. You're playing in front of maybe 200 to 300. So I'm going to take the Galaxy on the road here. Going to lock them in at plus 180 to take down the Dynamo.
I love it. Both for our fandom and for the units. I'm going to go up to the Northeast here and take the New York Red Bulls. They are hosting the Earthquakes here. I think part of it attacking the team that's having to fly cross country and play from San Jose to New York. We know that the Red Bulls are a bitch to play against. So San Jose, but I do think the Red Bulls get back on track here because they have had a similar rough start to the season to the Galaxy. They do have 1 win under their belt, but only 6 points from 6 games. I mean, they are right alongside Miami, Chicago, barely above DC, Charlotte, Montreal. Like they're at the bottom, near the bottom of the Eastern Conference, but I think they turn it around here against the Earthquakes. And because of we know the way these two teams play, I think there's going to be a lot of goals here. So I'm going to pair the win with the over 1.5 total and get that to plus money, plus 115 Red Bull to win and over 1.5 on the total.
Very nice. I am going to pick on the new kids.
Nice. Let's do it again.
Wanted to pick on these new kids last week and take Minnesota, but didn't pull the trigger. But they're going up to Seattle to face an obviously on fire Seattle Sounders team that is loaded with talent. Just an enraged Jordan Morris who's playing in
holy cow
right now. So I'm going to go ahead and we look at the line straight up. It's Seattle minus 160, and I want to get that to plus 165 for Seattle. So I'm taking them at minus 1.5. So what that means, they got to win by 2 goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get units.
Plus 165, you said?
Plus 165, correct. Obviously one of the toughest places to play in the MLS. St. Louis coming off their first defeat. Let's see if they can bounce back, if they have some resiliency. I think they're going to really struggle up here. Also we look at, not that we were the darling our first year as a club, but our second year for sure, we came out, we were on fire. We had multiple 4-0 wins, scoring a lot of goals. And then you kind of hit the proverbial wall. They just took their first loss to a team that wasn't very good, but still overperforming. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Seattle minus 1.5 over St. Louis City at plus 165.
I like it. Going up there to Lumen Field, you would think going to be a rude awakening for them, but they did go to Providence Park and beat the Timbers. So Seattle in a little bit better form than Portland. I like the pick. I'll close it out here. You picked on Houston. I'm going to pick Dallas here to win on the road. They're going to Miami. Miami, losers of 4 straight, have not won, have not gotten a point since their captain, Gregory, went down with the long-term injury. I think they continue the losing streak here, and Dallas just flat out the better team, in my opinion. So plus 210 on the road. Give me FC Dallas to win on Saturday. Do you have anything else here, or are you good? I think I'm good with just 3.
No, I got a bonus pick for us.
All right, give me the bonus pick.
I got a bonus pick for us. We're going to go ahead and pick on the Whitecaps, who are playing a CCL game tonight versus LAFC.
Okay.
So we're going to take an underperforming, kind of banged-up Timbers team that still has some talent on the board, veterans across the club. They're obviously also in a position that they don't want to be in, looking, from a very early standpoint, but looking into the playoffs right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take them at the money line, get them in at plus 255. Let's see how serious Vancouver wants to take this CCL. It just seems to be an opportunity to pick on a club who's going to either have to rest guys, rotate guys, and really figure out what they're going to do tonight. So, yeah, I like that little bonus pick for the people there.
I like it as well. Good pick there. So recapping, we've got Minnesota to win at Chicago plus 295. Seattle minus 1.5 hosting St. Louis. That's plus 165. Galaxy to win at Houston plus 180. Portland to win at Vancouver plus 255. Cincinnati to win at home versus Philly plus 125. Red Bulls to win and over 1.5 on the total plus 115. And Dallas to win at Inter Miami plus 210. Those are the week 7 picks. Turning it around, E. Big week for us. Big week for the boys.
Did you get the Sounders in there?
Yeah, Sounders minus 1.5. That was the second one I read off.
Yes. Okay.
Let's close it out with this. We are about 30 minutes away as we speak from the first leg of LAFC and Vancouver. We have lineups. So first, for our own sorrow, I will say, or maybe it's good just for the future, but Ryan Gold back in the lineup. So couldn't play on Saturday for us, but going to play tonight. Okay, whatever. LAFC lineup rolling out, of course, a first choice lineup here. Got Vela, Apoku, Buanga up top. Ilie, Tillman, and Kellen Acosta in the midfield, and then the back line of Palacios, Murillo, Hollingshead, and Aaron Long. McCarthy in goal still, of course, and the typical names off the bench: Cifuentes, Buke, Maldonado, Chiellini, Palencia. Like they're going for it. So let's get a 3-1 Vancouver win here somehow. Have them looking ahead to Tuesday. I don't know. Once we stop recording, man, I'm going to edit the pod. I'm going to turn this game on and be watching, with intent.
I'm definitely going to put this game on. I'm going to be tuning in. Yeah. But fuck these guys up for us. Come on, our Canadian brothers.
Yeah. Well, and hey, let's fuck these guys up on Saturday too. Super excited for a big action-packed Austin FC weekend. FC2 on Friday, FC on Saturday. And that'll do it here on our Double Jeffel episode 44 of the North End podcast. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the pod, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. You can hit the notification bell to know when a new episode goes live or a live stream pops up. And on this video, please hit that like button. Give us the thumbs up there. Help us battle the YouTube overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. We will be back on Sunday afternoon, recapping both games from this weekend and, wrapping up the GA Cup as well. 4 Austin FC teams in action this weekend. Can't wait to watch every possible minute. And we will see you guys here on Sunday, getting ready for episode 45 after what I think is probably 4 wins. 4 wins coming in this weekend. I think U15's GA Cup championship, beat Tacoma Defiance despite my prediction, beat LAFC despite my prediction. It's all going to come together.
Yeah.
How's that for optimism? All right, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. He's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.